Hey you guys, it's Lynnea with a video for LDRS Creative, and today I'm using some products from their June 2019 release. These products are so cute, and I had this idea for this card as soon as I saw the Beary Great Day stamp set. So let's just dive right in. I have this teeny tiny little bear head from the Beary Great Day stamp set, and I have mounted him onto my acrylic block. And originally I thought I was going to use the Raven hybrid ink, but I switched to the coffee bean ink because I thought that the brown would go better with the idea I had. And so I just mounted that on my stamp block. I'm using the coffee bean ink, and I'm going to stamp this little bear head all over a piece of watercolor cardstock. Now you saw that I did use my anti-static powder tool because this hybrid ink, though it dries to the touch quite quickly, it stays just a little wet on the paper. So I had planned to do some watercoloring, so I thought that I would use that hybrid ink and sprinkle on some LDRS clear embossing powder. So I kind of stamped this in segments. I stamped like 10 or 15 bear heads, sprinkled on the embossing powder, heat embossed, stamped 10 or 15 more heads, and clear embossing powder, heat embossed, and repeated the process. Now, this is not an embossing ink, so you are not going to get perfect embossing, but it does give a little bit of texture and a little bit of shine, and it does help those, like the eyes and the nose, it helps them stand out as I watercolor over top. So I grabbed a pastel watercolor set, and I'm going to use the lighter of the two browns and add some coloring to these little bear heads. So what I do to watercolor, and it's nothing fancy, it's not professional, it's just me adding quick color. But I do want there to be some shadow. So I grab watercolor straight from the palette and add it underneath the bear nose, like on his chin, kind of like a 5 o'clock shadow, a little beard at the end of the day. So I just add that to the bottom, and I work in sections. So again, I'll do like 5 or 6 bears, adding that darker brown to the bottom under his nose, and then clean my brush, come in with clean water, and just pull that watercolor up to the top. So there's like a highlight at the top of his head. Now, if you wanted to, you could pay attention to light source and shadows and pick an area of your, like for your sun. So if I wanted the sun to be coming from the top right, then the bottom left would be darker because it would be in shadow. I didn't do that. I chose under the snout of the bear to be dark on every single one of them. So again, not technically correct, but it's easy and it's quick. So for their little nose and ear, I wanted it to be kind of pink, but like a pinky brown. So I mixed that brown with some light pink and got kind of a brownish peachy color. So I'm just going to go in and quickly add that to the nose and to the ears. No shading here, just quickly adding color. And that heat embossing kind of helps to contain that color. So my original idea was just to have that background, stamp and heat emboss a sentiment in the middle, and that would be my card. But this big and tall bear was just too cute. So I said, I've got to color the bear. So I stamped him with the coffee bean hybrid ink, heat embossed with the LDRS Creative clear embossing powder, and I'm coloring him with the same colors that I did for those little bear heads in the background. Now, since he is a bigger image, you're going to see that I have more areas of contrast and light color. So like his head is quite light, his arms are light, and then his belly is darker. That's just because I'm pulling the color out further. So after I colored the little bear, I also needed the honey pot, and then of course I also needed that little spoon because what's a bear without a honey pot and a spoon? So then once everything was dry, I grabbed the scalloped rectangle die set, and this is new from the June release rather, and I die cut that background panel down just a little bit. I had planned to put it on a white card base, but I thought the white was too much. My watercolor cardstock is not as white as my card base, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the differing white colors. No problem. I took that white card base and I sponged on some coffee bean hybrid ink onto the edges, and that gave it a dark brown color. that actually matches the brown that I stamped the bears and all the other images in. I also sponged some of that coffee bean ink onto a piece of heavyweight cardstock, dried it really well. Then I stamped my greeting with the LDRS Creative watermark ink and heat embossed with the white LDRS Creative embossing powder. Once everything was done, all my pieces were dry, I started to build my card. So I glued that die-cut bear background onto my sponged card base. And then I'm just going to start adding the other images with some foam tape. I'm taking some liquid glitter here and just adding it to various areas of my card. And that will complete the card. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to head over to the LDRS Creative blog to see still photos of this project. I will catch you guys next time. Bye!